How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Positive Mindset Podcast, where we come together to raise our vibration, lift our perspective, and build that positive mindset. My name is Henry, and I'm so thankful to have each and every one of you here today because in this episode, we're going to take a positive perspective that could free you from everything that's weighing you down. If you want to be lighter, if you want to feel good about your experience, this is going to be the episode for you. But before we get started, we're going to take a few moments to slow down, zero in. We're going to take some deep, healing, meditative breaths to help us align on the frequency that we want in our lives. So pick a word, be love, joy, happiness, abundance, whatever frequency you want, and we're going to take a deep breath in, and as we're breathing in, you're going to say that word over and over and over again. Really charge yourself up with that energy, and then as you're holding your breath, visualize yourself doing something in that frequency, and once you exhale, anything that no longer resonates with you will leave you, and you'll be in a more positive state. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. And out. We're going to take another deep breath. This one's about alignment, about getting ourselves in receiving mode so that we can receive the message that we need to hear to get us in that positive perspective. So just imagine that you are surrounded by the most healing, uplifting energy that's meant specifically for you. It could have a certain color, a certain taste, a certain smell, however you imagine it. And when you breathe it in, it's going to charge you up. It's going to break down the negativity, the blocks, the weight, everything that's just been holding you back. And once you exhale, anything that no longer resonates with you will leave you, and you'll be in a more positive state. So let's go ahead and take another deep breath in. And out. Well, before we get started, if there's something that you enjoy or take away from this episode, if you're on YouTube or Spotify, you can actually leave a comment below. Not only does that help me know what resonated with you, but somebody else might read your comment and it might inspire them to give this episode a listen. I want to make this the #1 mindset podcast in the world, and the best way to do that is together. So whether you leave a positive comment or share this with somebody, it means the absolute world to me, and I could never thank you enough. But let's dive into today's episode. So let's take a perspective. Like first, I guess let's decide what it is that you want. How do you truly want to experience this life? So I'm not saying, what do you want as far as material things like a certain house or a job or a status or anything like that. I'm talking about your internal state. What do you want? And then you separate from what that is from right and wrong. If you want inner peace, if that's what you're hoping for, and whatever you chose is perfectly fine. Again, no right or wrong. It's what you desire. So for me, I'm just going to say inner peace. Let's say you decide that you want inner peace. The next step is recognizing what that truly means. If you want inner peace, it has to be above all. It can't be you want to be right and have inner peace. It can't be anything above it. If you want inner peace, that has to be the mission. So when something happens that disrupts your inner peace, whether it's something somebody did, an event, whatever it is, when that happens, even if you are right and they are wrong, you have to decide what your goal is. If your goal is to be right, then you can be right, but that could be at an expense of your inner peace. If your goal is to have inner peace, then that has to be the goal over being right. Now, that doesn't mean that people can take advantage of you or that you have to be a pushover or a people pleaser. Of course, have your boundaries. If you recognize that an event or a thing is going to disrupt your inner peace, then you are the one that needs to move yourself to a different situation, not try to dictate their behavior. If you are trying to control somebody else's behavior, then you are essentially saying that you know better than the universe or God itself, because God in the universe gave free will. Gave people the ability to be as they want to be, to learn as they want to learn, to expand as they want to learn. And that gift was also given to us. So if that's something that gifted to us, there's no reason or no value in trying to do different than the universe does. The universe allows things to be as they are because it's ever expanding. If it tried to limit one way, meaning making everyone operate with inner peace, then expansion could not actually happen. It couldn't go beyond the divine or the defined path. So whatever you want within you, choose that always versus trying to choose to be right. When you try to be right, then that's what's most important to you. And if that is what's most important to you, then do that. But don't try to be right all the time and think you're going to have inner peace. Don't think that you can choose anything above it. If you want that gift, that internal state of bliss, then you always need to make that your priority. Meaning, everything that happens, you focus on the part that aligns with your internal state. If you want love, happiness, and joy within you, then when something happens, you analyze, you inspect, you observe it to the point where you can find the piece of it, the frequency of it, that is what you desire, and that's what you expand in your vision. Remember, you are a creator, but you create what you observe. So if you're observing something that's against what you want in your internal state, no matter how bad you want something different within you, that's what you're going to bring within you. If you focus on negative things, if you focus on how people hurt you, you will expand more opportunities for people to hurt you, and that will be the energy that you operate in. It's not about what's fair. It's not about what's equal. It's not about equality. That's not how the universe works. The universe is free. Everything is free. It's all frequency, and everything is allowed to operate on the frequency it desires to. It's expansive. It's free. It's all just experiencing itself. So you can't control others. You can't control other things. You can only control your internal state. And how good would it feel to have inner peace no matter what is going on external, like outside of you? How good would it be to feel what it is you desire to feel no matter what is going on externally? You want to control the internal. You do not need to control the external. Like attracts like. That's how the law of attraction works. Whatever is within you, you will attract in the world. You create more of what's in you by focusing it on the world. It all cycles through. So how often have you found yourself choosing to be right? This person did this to me. This thing happened to me. This situation caused this. This isn't fair. They took from me. They did this to my ancestors. All of it. All of that can be true. I'm not saying it's not. And I'm not saying it's not horrible. Terrible things happen to people every single day. I'm not saying that that behavior is okay or that there's not consequences to those actions. I'm just saying you have the power to choose your own frequency. And many people don't like that answer. Many people don't want to believe that it's them that have the power. It's so much easier to blame the world, to blame our parents, to blame the people around us because they are the ones that started the initial impact. And yes, it can be their fault now, but you're aware. You've listened to this podcast. You can't say you don't know anymore. You have heard a different perspective. You have the option to choose a different experience. But if you identify with what's happened to you, then that's your life. And you can't be upset when people don't want that same energy, even if you're right. Even if you're right about all the terrible things that are happening, all the terrible things that are happening to you, to the world, how it's not fair, even if you're right, if you continue to focus and expand the energy within you, people are not going to want to be around that, even when you're right. And when you're so focused on the fact that you're right, you will go further down, further away from what you truly desire. And you'll try to reach out for help. You'll try to find people to support you, but they don't want it. Even though you're right, they want peace within themselves. That's why depression is so difficult, because depression turns you to think selfishly. It makes you view everything as happening to you. And that's what hurts. That's what causes you to beat yourself up, because it does that to you. That's the side effect or the symptom of it. It makes you see everything that's happening negative to you. And because of what your powerful ability is to create more of what you focus on, you end up creating more of those experiences. So if you find yourself alone, if you find yourself not being able to connect with people that see things as you are or as you do, maybe it's time to reflect. Maybe it's time to challenge your own position. It's okay to say that these things are terrible that have happened to me. And I recognize how these things affected me. But I have the power to change it. And I'm going forward. That's how you free yourself. Then you can choose what energy you actually desire to be within. Because once that's within you, that's how you feel about everything. It doesn't matter the car you're driving. It doesn't matter the job. It doesn't matter the economy. It doesn't matter the situation of anything. All that matters is your internal state. And it's a beautiful place to be when it's peaceful. So set your intention. Tell yourself, tell the world what you want within. Choose that over everything and become the rising tide that lifts all ships. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode was impactful and gave you a different perspective on whatever it is that you're going through. If you want to make a shift, if you want to follow me on social media or make sure you don't miss a single episode, make sure you subscribe to the email list below. It will keep you up to date with every single episode. And if you want to follow me on social media, there's my Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook group all down below. So I appreciate all the follows there. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.